14th? The 15th, and mine is the 16th.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a roll call, please.
Councillor Clements?
Present.
Councillor Langevin? Councillor Marcucci?
Present.
Councillor McDonald?
Present.
Councillor Moriarty?
Present.
Councillor Nicola?
Present.
Councillor Peliquin?
Present.
Councillor Regis?
Present.
Councillor Vandal?
Present.
9 here.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3, consider and accept Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, October 15th, 2012.
So moved.
I have a second. Any discussion? A roll call, please.
Councillor Langevin? Yes. Councillor Marcucci?
Yes.
Councillor McDonald?
Yes.
Councillor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councillor Nicola?
Yes.
Councillor Peliquin?
Yes.
Councillor Regis?
Abstain.
Councillor Vandal?
Yes.
Councillor Clements?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstain.
Thank you. Agenda item number 4, subcommittee reports A, General Government. Councilor Regis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are no minutes to read in our packets. However, I do have a meeting scheduled for Wednesday, November 14th at 7 p.m.
Thank you. B, DPW. Councilor Vandal.
No minutes and no meeting schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. C, Education and Human Services. Councilor Marcucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no minutes, but I do have a meeting scheduled for Tuesday, November 13th, and our meeting is going to be held at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. D, Planning and Development. Councilor Clements.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no minutes this evening and no meeting scheduled at this time.
Thank you. And E, Protection of Persons and Property. Councilor Langevin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no meeting minutes to read. I do have a meeting scheduled immediately after the EHS subcommittee meeting on Tuesday, November 13th, and I urge all councilors to attend because this is the one that we referred back to subcommittee on the sergeant's position. So, again, we can move forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilor Clements.
Question. I just want to clarify for those who may attend, you're slated for 7 o'clock, which is after the EHS meeting, but you won't start before 7, correct?
Yeah, I won't. If I see a gap there, I'll hold off until 7.
Okay, because it's posted for 7,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 5 is chairwoman's announcements. That would be me. The only thing that I really want to stress, as anybody who's in earshot of a radio or seen TV or has eyes and seen the signs, tomorrow is the national election, along with local elections. Our voting in Southbridge will be from 7 to 8 o'clock. I do urge everybody that is registered to vote to get out there and vote. This is your opportunity to be heard, and I would strongly recommend that you do take this opportunity to be heard. Without anything further, I'm going to agenda item number 6, Town Manager's announcements. Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know if this is on or not. It is now. I do have several items tonight. Just in regards to the voting, I did have a chance to go look at the polls today. We anticipate that we'll have a full house. Let's hope we have a full house tomorrow. We will have several police officers. We are trying to encourage poll workers to park off-site so that we will have 3 areas for residents that wish to vote to be able to vote. And we do have a traffic configuration that if you show up at the polls, please follow the guidance that you're provided so we can get you in and out as efficiently as possible. Also, we will have an attorney representing the town that will be there in case there is any voting questions to make sure that that goes in a smooth and orderly fashion. We did receive from one of the local groups in town that there is a Dial a Ride to Vote drive that's out there, and I'm just going to read it that as an outreach service to the Southbridge community for individuals unable to find means to the polls to exercise their right to vote on November 6th, that Chapter 12, Union St. Jean Baptiste, Southbridge, Blessed John Paul Parish, and Rubens Transportation of Southbridge are sponsoring Dial a Ride to Vote. If you need free transportation to vote, call only on Tuesday, November 6th, voting day, 508-765-3701 from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So they asked for me to announce that, and I think that really what that is just participation to have people that don't have the ability to get to the polls to get to the polls. So certainly we appreciate the efforts of the community to help people come out to vote. Also, we will, at the next council meeting, there were several votes that were taken at previous subcommittees in regards to an allocation of free cash. We did get certified our free cash numbers today. They came in and they are consistent with what we had anticipated, and several of those contingent appropriations will be coming forward. They've already gone through subcommittee and will be put on the council agenda for your next meeting. Also, in regards to, we do have a project on for tonight, and I thought I had mentioned this at previous meetings, that in regards to the reconstruction of the airport, we did run into an issue during the construction of the airport. After the tornado, we also received some word from DEP that DEP wanted us to address water issues at the site. There's a local well, and what we decided to do was to spend some of the insurance money to take care of the well issue by extending the water line that comes up Commercial Drive that was fairly recently installed. And what that project entails is bringing the water line from basically the end of Commercial Drive cross-country to the airport, and the plan would be to have 2 hydrants located there in order to have fire suppression resources available, and then also drinking water. And I realized that, I think I brought it up at a subcommittee meeting, but I never formally asked for an appropriation, so I will correct that. We are unfortunately already started to do some of the work because we wanted to try to take advantage of the weather. But DEP has, I don't want to say ordered us, but has strongly encouraged us to resolve the issue. So we are doing it in-house as part of the Whitewater contract, but there are some subcontractors that will be utilized to do some of the blasting and obviously purchasing the water main. But as part of the overall project, that's about a $100,000 project to make sure that we get the water up into that. And I think that that is necessary to really make sure that we improve the quality of our public safety assets up at the airport. And then lastly, I do have a gentleman that I would like to introduce. His name is David Murphy from Ty and Bond. And over the last several council meetings, there's been several questions that have come up about the water quality in the various wells at the landfill site. And I know that I've given a pretty good attempt to try to provide oversight to what we're attempting to do. But I would like to just invite Mr. Murphy up to maybe do, and he promised me only about 2 or 3 minutes, of kind of an overview that there is a work in progress that DEP has requested, because DEP has a similar concerns to what I'm sure the councilors have, as well as our Board of Health. So with your indulgence, Madam Chair, I'd like to give Mr. Murphy an opportunity to provide an overview.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk. My name is David Murphy. I'm a vice president with the firm of Ty and Bond. We're a firm of 240 people. We've been in Massachusetts for about 100 years. We represent approximately 150 municipalities across the New England area. We were asked to provide a third-party review of the groundwater trends and analysis at the landfill. We have started that in response to a letter that was received by Jim McQuaid at Mass DEP. Jim wrote a letter to Casella on September 25th requesting a third-party trend analysis in response to Mr. McQuaid's letter. Ty and Bond prepared a scope of work that was submitted to the DEP on October 3rd. It outlined a scope of work to actually look at the the project, to review the hydrogeological reports that have been done, review the landfill development history, look at the water quality trend analysis for the contaminants of concern that have been identified in the wells, perform what's known as a fate and transport analysis, particularly for several of the contaminants, and then prepare a summary report. That report was due to the department in draft form on November 1st, which indeed we did submit. I am not prepared to present the report tonight, but simply to let you know that that draft report has been submitted to the department. Upon receipt of their response, we'd be more than happy to come back on behalf of the town and present the results of that report and those findings. That's my 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I do have two other things. I don't know if there's any questions for Mr. Murphy. I think basically it's being studied, and when the results come back, he will come back and report those if that's...
That's fine. That's great. Thank you. Did you have something you wanted to add to this?
No, not to this. I do
Okay.
have two additional items that I forgot to
bring up?
bring
Okay.
up. But we're all
Thank you
set,
very
please.
much, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
look
Murphy.
forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
I realize that going through my notes, I missed two. On North Woodstock Road, if people observed that there was some activity down there today, even though I was out of the office last week at a professional development for my Chief Procurement Officer certification, I was kept informed of the status. On North Woodstock Road, I think I had reported that they found a small level of PCBs and arsenic. They have, the state being Department of Transportation, have worked out with the vendor to take the PCB materials off-site. There was not that many, not that much of a quantity, so that is being brought to a landfill facility, not in Southbridge, up on the North Shore. And the material that's there, they have to spread the material, and they would like to have that material reallocated on the site. So we have put in a request to them. This is the material that's naturally occurring, which isn't necessarily great. We have high levels of arsenic in this community as a general rule. But they want to take that material that was part of the previous bridge deck and spread that out. We have specifically requested to have them take up a section of the rail trail and to attempt to blend that material in and to continue the rail trail around the bridge. That was their original intent, and we've asked them to continue with that intent, but it will look a little different from a design perspective. So we've put that request into them, and they will let us know. But the project is back on track, that they are continuing to do work. How much they do during the winter will probably depend upon how mild or how harsh the winter conditions are. But I did want to report that that is back. And then lastly, I wish to appreciate Sandy Ackley and her efforts that Morton Street, sometimes I tell people it's good that, when you deal with government, you just have to be patient. And the gentleman from Knights was very patient. He said, can we do something with that road? It's actually called Morton Street, and it is a town way. The town does own that property. And we just did the base material is done. I think we still have two speed humps that we need to put in, or speed bumps I need to put in to make sure that we don't have people racing in and out. But that section of roadway, that's really one of the main entrance points for our park system in that area, has been completed, and we did that with Community Development Block Grant funds. So I just wish to appreciate the patience of Knights, the folks at Knights, and then also the diligence of Sandy to make sure that that came to fruition. And that concludes my comments this evening, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. I'd like to move on to the presentation portion of the meeting. Looks like we have, the first one will be Mass Save. That's Robert Meyer, an energy specialist with Conservation Services Group. Hi.
Hi, good evening.
Good
Madam
evening.
Chair, Mr. Clark, council members. So I just wanted to quickly let you know why I invited Robert Meyer from Mass Save to come out here tonight. He's going to talk about the free residential energy auditing program that they offer. And the reason I asked him out was since Southbridge is taking steps to become a more sustainable community, and we have the Sustainability Committee. This seemed like a great opportunity for the town to partner with Mass Save and to help make the residents of Southbridge aware of this program and educate them about the opportunities they have to save on their energy bills and the rebates and more that this program offers. And with that, I'll turn it over to Robert.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. My name is Bob Meyer. I work with a company called Conservation Services Group. We were one of the forerunners back in the late 70s that started this, I guess you could say, green movement in energy conservation in the state, and did a lot of policy writing and so forth for the state's mandated energy program, which basically the umbrella name is Mass Save. I know in this town, I think in the last 2 years, 2011 and 12, I think we've done somewhere around 200 energy audits in this town. So a little bit about what I do. I've been working with the company about 11 years, probably done somewhere in the neighborhood of about 11,000 energy audits. And I'm just here to tell you, give you a brief overview of what you can expect if we come to your house. First of all, it is a free program. I'm going to probably need about 2 hours of your time. And the energy process entails, I'm going to greet you at the door, going to come into your house with my computer and printer and various pertaining documents to the program, and set up, probably give you ask a brief interview as to what you know about the house, how long you've been there, your pains and concerns. I mean, how many people have turned their thermostat up this morning? I know I did. Is it oil heat mostly in Southbridge, or is there some gas here as well? Yeah, well, I know I'm getting killed in oil in my house. I live down in Lakeville near the Cape. But so what we're trying to do basically is look at your house from top to bottom and find out ways that we can tighten your house up and keep that heat inside your house instead of escaping, and try to do that for as least money out of pocket as possible. So we would be starting probably in the basement. We get a rough draft of your house, figure out the square footage. We want to look at your heating equipment. And another value-added component to this audit is that we're going to test your heating system out, make sure it's running safe and efficient. And we're looking for things like high carbon monoxide, drafting issues. In other words, are the fumes going up and out like they're supposed to? So we have tests surrounding that. In the event that we come in and do some insulation work in your house and tighten your house up, we have to make sure your combustion equipment is working good, because if it wasn't, tightening your house up is not going to be a good thing. So we uncover that first. Moving on, we're going to try to discover what you have for insulation levels in the house and how we can improve upon that. And that's going to require a little probing through your walls and so forth. Nothing too intrusive. Then we're going to get into your attic, so we would need access to that. And then we go up there, we're looking for signs of moisture, uncovering any mold situations that maybe you didn't know about, or maybe you didn't want to know about. At the end of it, we'll kind of put it all together and kind of recap what we've discovered. And then we'll go over with you what the various rebates are that are offered, which are quite substantial at the moment. Right now, with insulation work, we have a 75% up to $2,000 cap on an instant rebate. That means if I come into your house, you have an overall contract that we want to set up with you to insulate your house, save $2,400, you're responsible for $600, and it's an instant rebate. So in many cases, you know, you're $600 out of pocket, you're going to recoup that energy savings in maybe a year and a half. We'll talk about windows. Then we're going to want to probably try to get some of these light bulbs I'm sure everybody's familiar with now, but they're, instead of this little snow cone I'm sure you've seen, they've kind of morphed into more pleasurable looking things like recessed lights. They look like regular light bulbs now, globe lights that might fit over your vanity. Okay, these cut down 70% on the light bulb portion of your electric bill, which is, you know, pretty substantial over time. These guys will try to put in, if your heating system is compatible, they're programmable thermostats. They're great because you can program it through the week to kick down 6 degrees, 8 degrees, which has been proven to save money. You know, 10 o'clock at night, kick it down while you get in bed, or have it kick on in the morning, and then kick down again to 62 or 60, during the day when you're at work. So, again, recapping, we'll go over, at the end, we'll present you with what we feel is necessary to button up the house. And truthfully, it might be nothing. Your house might be fine the way it is. And then the other component to this has been phenomenal over the last few years. Is what we have is a 0% loan if you qualify for that for up to 7 years. So you can borrow literally up to $25,000 to do insulation, window replacement if you're replacing from a single pane window, insulation work, and the next thing that I wanted to lead into is high efficiency heating equipment. There's a lot of rebates for high efficiency heating equipment right now, anywhere from $500 up to $1,500, depending on whether it's oil or gas to replace that. You can utilize the loan to do that. 0% right across the board, no changes for 7 years, no prepayment penalty. So with that said, I'm going to leave some pamphlets maybe up front here, and I urge you to grab some when you leave. There's a number on here that you could call. Again, it's a free service. You got nothing to lose. All we're going to need is a couple hours of your time, and you're going to gain a lot of knowledge about your house, and maybe we can find ways to really help you there. So there's a number on here you can call, and I'll take any questions over this that we've talked about.
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
It's a great program. Now, if you were to come to my house tomorrow and you determine that I need insulation and or other things, what's the turnaround time to have that work done?
I'm glad you asked that. Right now, obviously, when people aren't as worried about their heat when May rolls around, but as soon as the cold weather and frost comes in Framingham, our wait time does escalate a little bit. So you could probably wait as much as 4 to 5 weeks for an appointment. If you were to contract insulation, from time of contract, sometimes up to 8 weeks right now. That's just because the time of year. But I urge you to call because there's cancellations, there's people working Saturdays. I'm a lead supervisor. I have a crew of about 9, but we have about 80 guys doing this right now through our office that are all Building Performance Institute certified, and there'll be a lot of wealth of knowledge once they get into your house. So you could possibly get an audit right off the bat if there was a cancellation, but I want to set your expectations that you're probably going to be waiting a few weeks, 3 weeks for an appointment, and then from time of contract, probably about 8 weeks before you actually see somebody to do the work. But there's never a bad time to do it. So I hope you call.
Absolutely.
Get out there.
Now, do you also I had Mass Save at my house probably about 10 or 15 years ago.
Sure.
Do you have, you still with the shower heads?
Yes.
For water?
Yep.
And obviously the light bulbs?
We get the light bulbs, we have shower heads we install, providing we can get your shower head off. We're not going to cause a plumbing problem. But the shower heads we put in are about 1.8 gallon per minute flow, and they give great pressure. That's kind of a misnomer that they don't, but we install those. Like I said, the light bulbs is another thing we do, and the thermostats. And on the bigger picture, we're trying to look at the envelope of your house to see what we can do there. And there are various roadblocks that keep us from insulating your house. If your house has a lot of moisture conditions in your basement, we don't want to make your house too tight and drive that moisture up inside the house. So that would be an obstacle for us. Old-fashioned wiring is another one. Knob and tube wiring with a little, you see them in farmhouses and so forth. Thomas Edison, first houses that were electrified had little white knobs with single strand. That's something we've decided is unsafe to blow insulation in. So we need that. We need to make sure that's cleared before we do any work. So those two are usually the main things. And then, asbestos in a house we have to be careful with as well. But we will come in, and lastly, we offer a free air sealing program if you have enough attic to air seal. Which basically what we're doing is we're coming in with a large fan, blower door fan. We do a negative pressure test on the house, and we collect through data on an instrument the cubic feet per minute of air movement that's going through the house. Then we'll go up to the attic, we'll foam seal all those joints and cracks, to stop that convective air loss. We do a post test with that fan, and it shows us how much we've drop the cubic feet per air minute. So 2,000 CFM, cubic feet per minute, might end up when we're done at 1,400. So that means we've tightened that house up by 600 cubic feet per minute of air movement through the house, which is pretty substantial. And that's a likely scenario in a colonial, maybe built in the 80s or something like that. So there's always plenty, not always plenty we can do, but there's plenty of information that we can give you. Any other questions?
Want to finish up? Sure.
Just to follow up. For the general public, for the people at home watching, could you please give us a phone number?
Yep, the phone number on here would be 866-527-SAVE would be the one you would want to call to schedule an energy audit. And they'll ask you a small series of questions when you call and then let you know when the next available person would be to come out to your house.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great. Go ahead.
Councilor Regis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is free advice, so I'm going to ask. Fieldstone fireplaces on outside walls.
Yeah.
Do you deal with those types of things and give suggestions or actually fix the drafts, or do you give suggestions as to how to do that?
During our air seal portion of our program, when we come in to do that, we have limitations of what we can do. We can put on, we can put door seals on, door sweeps on, go into the basement and, foam up various holes that might lead outside, plumbing penetrations, that kind of thing. And in some cases, yeah, we can caulk around fieldstone fireplaces. That is not something that we would normally do, though. Aesthetically, might not look too pleasing as well. But fieldstone fireplaces, they look beautiful. I have a fireplace. Fireplaces generally, from a building science aspect, are kind of a heat loss. Aesthetically, they look nice. They were great back when the Pilgrims had them, but then again, they had no heat in their place, so that was the heat. So we encourage radiant heat, either maybe a wood stove or something like that that's actually going to radiate heat. But yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question or not.
You've just confirmed that fieldstone fireplaces are very drafty.
But they also look very nice, so I'm not going to be the judge on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else up here? Councilor Moriarty?
Just wanted to confirm, you had said these audits they're free and no obligation.
Absolutely, no obligation, and they're absolutely free. We're not going to be, handing you a bill or any, but we do. All we ask is we have access to your attic, and we like to look at your utility bills so we can basically look at the history and see what the trend has been, electric and fossil fuel if you have it, and then we'll present you with if something needs to be done in the house at that point.
And does Mass Save, along those same lines, obviously it's a much bigger task, but do you deal with things such as municipal buildings, town halls, and other buildings? It's
a different program. We have a new construction aspect of our company. There are a few other companies that may have the contract, in other words, to do commercial buildings. Rise is a company out of Providence that does a lot of commercial work on NSTAR's side. So that would be something you probably could call that number I just gave you, and they could lead you to the right direction. Or you could go on the website. masssave.com is a lot of good information on there as well.
Councilor McDonald?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a comment, more or less, because I know somebody who just had this done, and it was very professional, and the amount of information that was available and the way they walk you through it was very well done. So.
That's good to hear. That's our objective. We want to inform you, and I know Southbridge has got some things going on. I know you got a solar field or something that's going up. I mean, that's great stuff. So it's good to get the public involved as much as you can and get people thinking along those lines.
Thank you. Anybody else up here? I don't know if anybody in the audience has anything they want to ask. If not, I want to thank you very much, and I will be looking into this as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a very old house with drafty all over.
Me too. We could have a lot to talk about.
I think we could. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
Thanks for the time. I'm going to leave this. Kim, I'll leave this.
Perfect. Thank you again. That's helpful. Thank you. Okay, I also have next Mass Rides, Dujuan Counting. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
sidewalks. Might not work. No problem. Like I was telling you. If that one doesn't work. It's gonna be alright to do that.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing today? My name is Duan Chowning. I am here on behalf of the Mass Rides program. We are under the umbrella of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. Our primary purpose is we inspire individuals to travel smarter. We've recently been so gracious enough to partner with the town of Southbridge. I recently, a few weeks ago, met with the town manager and as well as Sandy Ackley, and they were so gracious enough to partake in our partnership program. My main reason why I'm here tonight is to inform the town a little bit more, about what we do and some of the benefits that are offered to the town of Southbridge, the residents, and as well as the employees here as well. I'll keep this brief, but I'll provide lots of information afterwards and provide time for questions afterwards as well. And I'll also be speaking on behalf of the Safe Routes to School program, which is an umbrella under the Mass Rides as well. Unfortunately, my colleague was not able to join me today, so therefore I will be speaking on her behalf. Just to tell you a little bit about what we do with Mass Rides, as I said, we inspire employers to get their employees to travel smarter. So that would mean anything by traveling green. That would be walking, biking, carpooling, vanpooling, anything like that. And within our organization, we are able to provide different organizations with the materials and the know-how to do so. We work with lots of organizations throughout the Commonwealth, lots of colleges, universities, hospitals, things of that nature. There are about 3 other individuals that partake in the same job that I do. I'm based out of Boston, but I work primarily in central Massachusetts, all the way out into Western Mass, onto the New York border, all the way out in Pittsfield. So we do lots of different work, and sometimes we come through different barriers depending on the area, whether it's rural, suburban, city, anything like that. So we definitely try to generate our program, and we try to get it to be tailor-made to fit the need of the organization. Continuing along, some of the great things that we do offer would be our emergency ride home program. That is a program where individuals that do commute take up to 2 green trips a week, they are able to be provided with a emergency ride home. Say for instance, if a colleague and we carpool together, but I had to rush home to pick up my child who was sick, my colleague would be stranded, but with the emergency ride home program, they would be able to get a taxi cab home and things like that. They would pay for it out of pocket, and then they would register, and we would provide them with the reimbursement for that. And one thing that I forgot to mention initially off the bat, all of our services are completely free, and our partnership program is something that is seen as an additional benefit to employers throughout the Commonwealth. Go through. Another great thing that we offer, which is a great benefit for the residents of Southbridge, is the New Ride program. The New Ride program serves as 2 things. The first thing, it serves as the statewide rideshare database. So individuals that are looking for potential rideshare partners, or if they're having issues with getting to work, or if they're trying to form a carpool or things like that, there is a database. So far we have over 10,000 users registered statewide, so it's been great for us to kind of combine people that may literally work in the same corporate complex or next door to one another, but they may not necessarily have the chance to interact, and they live on the same block or within a mile or so radius of each other. They're able to combine with one another and able to carpool. And another portion of the New Ride program, it serves as you're able to get rewards for greener trips. So all green trips that you take, you can go in and you can create your profile. Say if I carpool every single day, I go in and I get the amount of allotted points, and once the points are accumulated, you can go in and you can get different coupons and discounts and different things. We have a Chipotle on there, a Kmart. There's different Stop and Shop is on there, a variety of different museums and things like that throughout the Commonwealth, and also lots of nationwide retailers and places that it can be utilized online, like Omaha Steaks and things like that. 1-800-Flowers, a variety of different things that are on there as well. And also what's great about that as well too is that they do different things. They do raffles through every season. Like in the wintertime, they do like ski resorts in Vermont and places like that to kind of inspire people to utilize the new ride program. Continuing along. And that's pretty much the gist of what we do. We have a variety of different things that we can provide. We are definitely trying to make our presence known here. If anyone has any more connections as far as the hospital that is in town or anything like that, I would definitely like to be connected with the HR department or the parking department or facilities to definitely help them with many of the issues that they might face through parking, because it can definitely be seen as a benefit for a variety of different organizations. I'll have some more pass outs, and I can leave them up there, and also my contact information. Well, I'll say my contact information if you want to write this down. Duan Chowning, D-U-J-U-A-N, Chowning, C-H-O-W-N-I-N-G, and my telephone number. I can be reached directly, 857-368-8647. The number is, again, 857-368-8647. And my email address is Duan, my first name, D-U-J-U-A-N, Chowning, my last name, C-H-O-W-N-I-N-G, @state.ma.us. And that is my contact information. And on behalf of my colleague from the Safe Routes to School program, I'll tell you a little bit about Safe Routes to School. I will preface this by saying I am not an expert in the field, and I'm going to be reading off a little bit about what they do off of a PowerPoint slide, just a brief overview, and I have all of her contact information as well. We would definitely like to partner with the elementary schools and the middle schools here as well, because the Safe Routes to School team is definitely trying to broaden their outreach throughout the Commonwealth as well. Massachusetts Safe Routes to School. It's a federal program administered through the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. The mission is to increase safe walking and biking to school and/or make it safe to bike and walk. It decreases traffic congestion, increases physical activity, and betters the environment. So far, the Safe Routes to School program is in 550 schools and 160 communities throughout Massachusetts. And the Massachusetts Safe Routes to School program goes by the 3 E's. It is education, encouragement, enforcement, evaluation, and engineering. The education portion of it is pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, and education for the youth, to allow them, to inspire them to continue to be educated when they partake in the activities. Encouragement to bike to school days, walking school buses, and the Walk Across America, and as well as walking clubs and things of that nature. Enforcement, work with police departments and safety officers to increase safety and awareness during walks and safety education as well. And the evaluation, to provide data on how students can get to school and why parents may or may not be allowing their children to walk or bike to school. Engineering, application for infrastructure assessment after a 1-year program activity, possible for a $300,000 to $800,000 project. And that is the overview of the Safe Routes to School program. And the contact for the Southbridge area would be Ms. Heather Drake. That is H-E-A-T-H-E-R, Drake, D-R-A-K-E, and she's an outreach coordinator, and her email address is heather.drake@state.ma.us. At this time, I'll allow time for questions, and as I said, trying to condense this as much as possible. We have a body of work that we do, and I will provide more information, or if you're not able to get your question answered this evening, you can feel free to call me, email me, anything like that, and I'll gladly do the best to help you out. Is there any questions at all? Anyone have anything?
Councilor Marcucci?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What are your hours of operation?
Oh, we are on the clock from 8 to 5, but when there's situations like this where we have to come to town hall meetings or different things like that, we can work with, we're kind of at the will of the need of the organization that may need us. If we need to be somewhere earlier, we get there earlier. If we need to stay later, we need to stay later. We work our best to fit the needs of the organization. So it's definitely something that can be, as I said, can be altered depending on, there are places we have to be earlier depending, we work with a lot of blue collar situations, so there's a lot of shift work and things like that. So if we're doing events or benefits fairs or things like that, we might have to be there earlier, or if it's a situation like this, we'll have to come a little bit later.
Thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else at this point? I want to thank you very much for coming this evening, and
Thank you,
I will be
everyone.
following up with you. I am interested in this. Thank you so much. Okay. What else do I have here? Department Head, Michael Montigny, Cable Access.
Good evening, councilors, Mr. Clark, Madam Chair. Just here to talk a little bit about cable access and what we do. We have 3 members. I'm the station manager, the production coordinator is Jim Cosgrove, and Stacy Reno is our office manager. And we have a board too. We have the Cable Advisory Committee. It's made up of 6 members right now. There's a vacancy, but the chairman is Bob Cantera. We have Tom Ayau, Ray Gauthier, John McHugh, Pam LaRue, and Max Gullickson. The committee enforces the policy and recommends what the station should do in terms of purchasing equipment or any other important decisions we might need to make. And then once they give their recommendation, I act upon it and do whatever we need to do to find out if this is the best way to go. What we do as an entity or a company is we provide access to the public television in this town through Charter Communications. It's channels 11, 12, and 13. This year we have 2.75% of everybody's cable bill coming to the station in forms of our yearly income. And next year it'll be 3%, which is nice. The money goes towards providing the 3 channels and all the equipment that we have here, because our main thing, people think we are just for filming. We actually like to get the public encouraged in filming as well, so we can have them come out and they can get trained on how to use our equipment. We have 3 really nice Canon XA10 high-definition cameras that we've been using a lot of recently. And once you get certified through taking this class and you have all your paperwork signed for liability reasons, you can take out the camera and go shoot your footage. You can come back and we can teach you how to edit it if you'd like, or we will edit that for you. But if you can't get somebody out to film and you'd like it filmed, you can always call us or at 508-765-1525 or the town manager's office and let us know if you have something that you'd like to be filmed. We have a few volunteers. It's mainly the cable committee, but there are a few others. So we can try to make arrangements for you there. You can also submit any program that you have permission to play. Even if you didn't film it yourself, you can sponsor another town's local access. And you basically, if you submit something and it's a Southbridge program, it gets 2 morning plays and 2 afternoon plays. And if it's something else from outside of the town, we do as much as we can, but we generally try to stick to 2 in the morning, 2 at night. And lastly, when we don't do programming, we have bulletins. We have 2 bulletin boards. The government has one on channel 12, and then the public is 11 and 13 shares with the education. So if you need to submit anything, if you live in the town, you can submit it as long as it's within our guidelines, which we have on the website. You can submit there, or you can email us at southbridgecable@southbridgemass.org, or you can email me at mmontigny@southbridgemass.org. And we usually get your bulletins up within a week, but it says within 2 in our policy. So that's pretty much what we do. We provide for the community to have their own voice too in the media. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Comments? Concerns? No? Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to Citizens Forum. Any citizens wishing to come forward, please state your name and address. No citizens wishing to come forward this evening?
Rossiel Fernandez, 56 Everett Street. Sorry. I just want to talk a little bit about economic development in this town. My taxes have gone up quite a bit, and my property values continue to go about $100,000 below what I first paid. So I'm very concerned with economic development as a lot of the engine for our tax base disappears in this town. A lot of that burden keeps shifting over to homeowners. So I think I have a little bit of ground to be able to speak a little bit on some concerns on economic development in this town. In particular, there are 3 businesses that are in various phases of trying to open up. There is one in which there's construction that's being done. There is another which construction is essentially complete, but there is one single handicap button that needs to be opened, or that needs that they need to open to get an occupancy certificate from the building inspector, and that's been confirmed by the building inspector. And there's another family business that essentially has kind of rushed their project timeline to fulfill some artificial time frames. And all of these businesses have well-documented investments of hundreds of thousands of dollars. They are all actively trying to make this town better and produce a business that is going to employ local people. It's going to bring revenue. And a lot of these businesses are actually currently paying the town revenue in various forms of strange fees. And for example, fire protection fee, even though they've been in construction for several years, they've been paying these monthly or quarterly fees, I'm not sure. It's all essentially lots of substantial income and investment that has gone to this town. Local banks have invested in these businesses. So my concern right now is that there seems to be a very aggressive push right now, and maybe this council can explain to me, and maybe some of the people here, why the town is spending town funds to essentially close some of these businesses down before they open. In particular, there are, and I'm not sure about the legal fees that have been spent because records seem to be very difficult to get in this town. But there are a lot of legal fees that seem to be spent right now with special counsel to sit at liquor board meetings and others, and I'm sure hours before that to produce documentation. So there seems to be a concerted effort, which includes a lot of the department heads here also, to shut these businesses down before they open. And in one case, we literally are talking a button on a door. And there are lawyers that are sitting in rooms to make sure that that business doesn't have a chance to operate and open before it even has a chance to. So I guess it's more of a concern, more of a question on why in a town like Southbridge, why economic development is not being focused at situations like that, and quite the opposite, town funds are being spent to do everything we can to shut these businesses down. These are businesses that have not violated anything other than their project timeframes are not what the town manager seems to deem is acceptable. And just a question, or just a comment on, I'm not sure if this thing is still on, just a comment on businesses need capital to open and to be successful. Anybody who has ever opened a business knows that if you don't have a lot of cash in the bank to open, you probably will fail within a year. So to put these artificial time frames in businesses seems to be very short-sighted, short-minded, certainly contrary to economic development in general in this town. And it's more of a maybe I'm informing some counselors that may not know this is going on. Maybe I am just hoping that there's an answer there of why this is going on. So just wanted to speak a little bit about that, and maybe anybody there that can call me or email me and maybe present to the people why there's a concerted effort to shut these businesses down. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have provided information to the council, I believe, an information package for what's being done and what's transpiring. Certainly, in my experience and my desire is to assist in any way we can economic development in the community. In my experience also, in particular with liquor licenses, in most towns that I've ever worked in, most towns are at their quota limit and have active, vibrant licenses. In this town, unfortunately, we do have, actually, I believe there's 4 businesses that have not been operational. And in accordance with Mass General Law, you know, when I took an oath to do the job that I signed up to do, it says that I will do the best of my ability to uphold the laws of the Commonwealth. And the Commonwealth has a law, Chapter 138, Section 77, that says if you have a liquor license, you cannot have an inactive liquor license or what's called a pocket liquor license. Why am I involved? We have a liquor board that's involved, but coterminous with that, we also have a common vicular license that goes with these liquor licenses. And back at the end, actually this time last year, I approached the liquor board and said that we need to get people going. A business, I agree 100%, a vibrant business will employ people. A business that's not open doesn't employ anybody. So maybe not anybody, but 1 or 2 versus more vibrant. The 4 liquor licenses that we've been requesting and working with, I mean, 2 of them are over 3 years old. Pocket licenses for 3 years. 1 of them is 4 years, and 1 of them is 10. And by the legal research that was done, I'm not an attorney, so I send the attorneys in and say, well, what's fair, what's reasonable, what should we require as a benchmark to see what we should do? And basically what he came back with was the law says that you give people about 6 months to get a business up and going. So here we have 6 months is what I'm being told is a reasonable timeline. In my experience in other communities, you have 100% participation because usually a liquor license is a fairly valuable commodity to have. In here, we have, I think it's 19 liquor licenses that are within the quota, and we have 4 of them that are inactive. And, you know, I just honestly believe in the interest of economic development, you know, it's my responsibility to work with the businesses to try to get them operational. We did have the one that's 10 years plus came in today and said that they are finally done and open. So, you know, my purpose was to try to push to completion to get these liquor licenses either active or freed up so someone could come in, because we have had a level of interest for people coming into the office wanting a liquor license that they can't have one because we're at the quota limit. So we have people that are interested in these licenses that want to have the licenses, and we have owners that aren't in compliance with state law. So is it an ideal situation for a manager to be in? You know, absolutely not. But I can't turn my back on upholding the laws of the Commonwealth that allow for a certain guidance as to how to administer licenses in the community. So I did send that through to the council. It's probably been about a month ago, I think, that material went. So it's not something that's been clandestinely done just by myself. I have kept the council informed, and I've been asked by members of the council to make sure that I uphold the laws of the Commonwealth. And rightfully so, I've been asked. So have I been more active? Have I been more assertive? Absolutely. To the purpose of get your job done, do it in a reasonable, timely manner, or get out of the way and let somebody else do it. So I make no apologies for what I've done or how I've done it. And I think that's why we are where we are.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Clark, you have something to add to that? During I would imagine so, yeah. Yeah. Did you wish to speak?
Sorry, I just walked in. It's still Citizens Forum now?
Yes, it is.
I just caught the tail end of what Mr. Clark was saying.
Okay, you need to follow the protocol.
Sorry. My name is Dimitri Kasperson. I live at 51 North Street in Southbridge, and I'm one of the license holders that Mr. Clark was referring to, one of the 4 licenses that's under construction. I didn't plan on saying anything, but I didn't realize this was going to be discussed tonight, but I just wanted to say that of these 4 licenses, some of us have been very hard at work over the last couple of years on developing projects, relatively ambitious projects, and we felt that we've run up against a number of roadblocks from the town, and in particular, I hope that the council takes a good look at what's going on here, in that we invested $35,000 in the transfer of this license, and I know that Marquis Incorporated invested, I believe, over $60,000, and this is an asset of people trying to start a business here in this town. This is sort of the base asset for moving forward with that business. And Mr. Clark, I believe, is very misguided in his attempt to cancel these licenses, because the town, for one, is going to lose this asset permanently. We are over quota right now, so this is destructive to the town, and it's also destructive to people that are putting their own money forth. We've invested over $150,000 trying to bring an art gallery and a cafe, an upscale cafe, into this town, and we've been met with, nothing short of apprehension and an unwillingness to cooperate, particularly from the town manager. So I just, I would like a chance to introduce our project on a broader scale than just the liquor board and to this town, but we feel like we're not being given that opportunity, and we would really, I think a lot of the businesses are in the same position. I think if you could see photographs of all these different places and how much work people have put in and thought and trying to improve their community, that it's really something that should be considered higher up than the person that's managing the town. It should be considered by all of you. So I hope, we'll have a chance to talk to you individually about that and show you that these are not what are being termed pocket licenses. These are small business startups, and they're ambitious. And you really, for somebody to be trying to cancel and destroy those, I think is disingenuous and harmful to this community. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens wishing to come forward at this point? No? Okay. I'm going to move on. Agenda item number 9. Vote to confirm the appointment of Theodore A. Bartlett of Southbridge to the Council on Aging for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2015.
Moved. Second.
Any discussion? Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Nicola?
Yes.
Councilor Peliquin?
Yes.
Councilor Regis?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Langevin?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. 10, vote to confirm the appointment of George P., also known as Gus Steves, of Southbridge to the Agricultural Commission for a 2-year term to expire June 30th, 2014, to fill the vacancy left by George Parent.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? A roll call, please.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. 11, vote to confirm the appointment of Nicholas Cantara of Southbridge to the Call Firefighter Department for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2015.
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Langevin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to inform the committee that we did have a subcommittee, and the vote on this candidate came in unanimous. And my only other thing is, I don't see any of these candidates in the crowd.
No, I don't either.
I know this particular candidate, third-generation firefighter, big moment for their family. So just in the future, maybe near future, we could do something, because it's a big moment in their lives, in their career. So,
You know, maybe, Chief, once this is done and all, maybe at the next meeting, if you'd like to bring them forward, that would be nice.
Tonight, that I would bring them to the next council meeting. I did speak to the town clerk. As we all know, she's going to be extremely busy tomorrow. She would have to get up extremely early tomorrow, so she was kind of happy that she wouldn't have to stay late tonight. And she's more than happy to come next time, and we can bring all the candidates before you
We'll
so
have
they
the
can say
swearing
thank
in.
you and be sworn in.
Thank you.
So that is the plan.
thank you.
Thank you. Counselor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a general comment about the call department in general. The call department is a great resource for this town. I think the general public should understand just how much impact they bring to the town as far as staffing goes, and the ability to bring more staffing to the scene of an emergency at minimal cost to the town. So it's nice that we have people filling up in all the candidates tonight, and especially one that's a third-generation firefighter. As you know, that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Counselor. Anything else? Can we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Moriarty? Yes. Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Agenda item number 12, vote to confirm the appointment of Ian Haggerty of Sturbridge to the Call Firefighter Department for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I'd like to say that this young man happens to be the son of one of our police officers in Southbridge. And I was at the, if you don't mind me stealing your thunder for a second, I was also at the subcommittee meeting, and all 3 of these young men received a unanimous vote to come forward for confirmation. Is there anything else? Did you want to add anything to it, Counselor?
No, just because the meeting minutes aren't in our packets, I wanted the council to know what the vote was.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Agenda item number 13, vote to confirm the appointment of Nicholas Shelburne of Webster to the Call Firefighter Department for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2015. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Abstain.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstain.
Thank you. 14, vote to ratify change order number 10 for Consigli Construction Incorporated in the amount of $86,309 for the middle high school project. Anything to add? Any discussion here?
I guess just for general public purpose, from what I recall from the meeting, the town manager can confirm this is not something that's new or unforeseen. This is many, many months, so it's not as if it's an overrun or anything to that effect, just based on the large number, that's all.
Yeah, I think just to maybe add, and I do appreciate the opportunity, as the project went through, at the very beginning of the project, there was a scope for how things are going to be handled that the council actually voted on for how things would be resolved. And as the construction went through, there were several changes that were made. I believe when I tallied it up, that we're still less than 1% for all these change orders. And the project is done. Many of these change orders occurred over the last 6 or 7 months and are just now the paperwork's being done because the process was a process of negotiation for a give and take. So this is change order number 10. I would anticipate probably about 2 more change orders to kind of wrap this project up. But again, you know, the project from a state perspective was well under budget. From a town perspective is still on budget. So we are on budget as it relates to this project. So all this, all these change orders and these specific items contained therein are really just part of discussion and part of the contingencies that we had laid out as part of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilor Regis?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Langevin?
Yes.
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Nicola?
Yes.
Councilor Palaquin?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. 15, vote to approve special municipal employee designation according to Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 20B. Any discussion? Mr. Clark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to provide a little bit of insight, under Chapter 268A, which is the Conflict of Interest statute, there is a requirement that the town is supposed to go through and designate certain positions within the organization in which, especially in a smaller community such as ours, that one person does 2 jobs. So we do have several positions listed here. Just to give a little bit of a flavor, we have a landfill monitor that also acts as the planning board clerk in the town manager's office. I have my secretary actually also serves as a municipal hearing officer. The town clerk's office, one of the office staff there also acts as a municipal hearing officer. Our cable access office manager is also our town council recording clerk. And on the cable station manager is also an employee of the school department. Actually, there's only 3 more, so I'll keep going. Max, one of the members of our collector's office also serves as the school committee recording clerk, and another member of the collector's office also acts as the parking clerk, and the special ed director also does some school translation. And under the definition in the law, when 2 paychecks are issued for 2 different work done by one person, it's just really an acknowledgement that this occurs in the town, and we're just supposed to identify what those positions are. So the purpose of this vote is just to identify these positions. If anything were to happen in the future where a person were to leave and that position no longer was going to be done by one person doing 2 jobs, then we would remove that designation as we go. But this is just really a recognition that there are some positions in a small town that one person does wear 2 hats.
Thank you. Just a quick comment on that. I particularly appreciate this because, to me, it's an excellent example of transparency, so that there's nothing there that you know, it's all out there for you to see. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the town manager. Now, this covers us from the standpoint of the Ethics Commission. My question would be, how does this stand in terms of the Fair Labor Standards Act? Because if a person is working a standard work week of 37.5 hours and exceeds that, is usually and typically entitled to overtime, and if that was to be the case in any one of these, how does that pan out in terms of FLSA?
Yeah, actually, good question, very good question. We have had a few of these positions specifically be looked at from our labor attorney. The labor attorney has weighed in some cases, particularly the teaching ones, that they are exempt. In other ones, the Fair Labor Standard Act actually kicks in at 40 hours and over, and most of the employees here actually only work 37 and a half. So that gives a 2.5 hour excess before we get to the time and a half. And some of these positions do not go above that 40-hour threshold, so we don't hit that. But that is something, too, that we obviously monitor to make sure that we stay in compliance with the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anybody else? Could I have a roll call, please?
Counselor Vandal? Yes. Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci? Yes. Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair? I'm sorry,
Yes.
Madam Chair. May we take a recess for
Certainly.
about 5 minutes? Thank you.
We'll take, I can't see the clock. Take a 5-minute recess. We'll resume the meeting. Agenda item number 16, ordered that the authorized unissued balances of the following loan orders of the Town Council are hereby rescinded. Amount, $155,000, $155,192.80. Purpose, water treatment plant. Date of passage, June 29th, 2004. Amount, $11,047. Purpose, water treatment plant. Date of passage, June 18th, 2007. Amount, $700,000. Purpose, environmental access road. Date of passage, May 19th, 2008. Amount, $710,550. Purpose, school feasibility study. Date of passage, May 12th, 2008. Amount, $200,000. Purpose, ambulance. Date of passage, October 18th, 2012.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
That can't be right.
if I could, just to make sure that the general public knows what we're doing here, because some of these numbers are fairly good-sized numbers. It's fairly common for a town to authorize a certain amount of money to be borrowed to complete a project. It then goes out to bid, it borrows that money, or it has the authorization to borrow. It then realizes what number it needs to borrow in order to complete the project. And then it goes forward and does the work, and if it doesn't need that additional borrowing authorization, then they can eliminate it. I believe it's next week, or the end of this week. We will be going out to market for our first of probably 3 borrowing authorizations for the school project to permanently finance that, to try to capture some of the market. So what we wanted to do is to go through and clean up on the books what we have for borrowing authorization that is not needed or was supplemented. So in the water treatment plant, in those two, and that actually came about, we actually had a decrease in that because we received ARRA funding. We knew that we were going to get that stimulus funding from the feds, and that was going to decrease the amount, so we didn't borrow what we knew we were going to get in a grant. The $11,000 was returned because it was simply, we didn't have to borrow as much. On the environmental access road, it's nice to be here for a while because now I actually have lived some of this history, so I understand what we were doing. We had a borrowing authorization that the town made back in 2008, and when we went through the numbers for how much Casella was going to be paying for that road, we realized that we could not borrow the full amount unless the taxpayers were going to fund part of that road. In order to avoid that from happening, we kept the road project basically $700,000 less because we wanted to match up the funding repayment schedule from Casella with what we could authorize for use. So this was actually $700,000 that we did not use because it did not match up with the reimbursement schedule. On the school feasibility study, the town did go out. I think that total number was about $800,000 to $900,000. And in the MSBA, and you'll see this when the permanent financing is done on the big school project, that this is the 80% of the state share. So the state requires that we put that full amount on our books, even though we're not going to use it, but they require that we have that. So right now we have the $75 million authorized for that school project. So you'll see a $55 or $56 million debt going off of our books because that's the state portion of what they paid. So that 710 is simply related to that. Now, from a finance perspective, when a bond prospectus person comes to look and wants to buy our bonds, they see these and they say, wow, that's a lot of money that's outstanding. So that's why we want to clean it up, get it off the books. The $200,000, we actually did authorize a borrowing for the ambulance, and then we decided that there were sufficient funds basically within free cash to pay for that. So we did pay for that cash and did not go through the borrowing authorization on that. So all these items that have been discussed are projects that are now complete and wrapped up, and these are just kind of the formal tidying up of the amount that we have. But we do have an overall number for how much we're authorized to borrow for, so reducing this amount is a positive in the financial markets.
Thank you. Councilor Regis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just from an accuracy perspective, there was no backup material in our packet for these next few votes. I don't believe that date of passage for the ambulance is correct. That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I noticed that myself. I think that was probably 2011. I think we did it 2011, but we will verify the number on that. Because we didn't do that recently. That was an ambulance that needed to be done
Right.
at the beginning of the fiscal year. But let me check.
Okay. With that said, we can still vote on this.
Yes.
It won't affect anything.
With the understanding that there's a correction that would be needed in that date.
Okay. Anything further? Any other questions on this? No? Could we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see.
And that was unanimous?
Yes.
Just because there's a two-third vote
Right.
needed, that record needs to reflect that.
There's going, agenda items number 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 will all require a two-third vote, as did the one previous. Agenda item number 17, vote to transfer the sum of $13,814.89 from Project 305, School Feasibility Study, to Project 310, Middle High School Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Just on this, Madam Chair, just 17 through 21 are going to have similar commentary to each, and if you want me to comment, I certainly will. This one, the money was actually formally borrowed. And under Mass General Finance Law, if we borrow money for a certain purpose and it has a certain amount of duration of time in which that borrowing occurred, we need to reallocate those funds to another project of equal or greater length. So in this case, in that school feasibility study, we were able to do that overall project for $13,814 less than we anticipated. Because it was a borrowing, we need to transfer that borrowing to another borrowing, and the middle school project itself, I think that has a 20-year life on that, so that will have plenty of time to roll that in. So this one, in order to basically comply with Mass General Law, we have to roll it into something else. And the following will be the same, and I'm happy to comment on the details, but just so the overview so people understand.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
9 yes.
Unanimous, yes. Thank you. Agenda item number 18, vote to transfer the sum of $110,549.84 from Project 330, DPW facility, to the Town Hall renovations. Again, two-thirds vote will be needed.
Second.
Any, Councilor McDonald?
I'll wait till the manager's done.
Just
Okay.
to, on this one and the next one, this is for the DPW facility itself, the work inside of the building, so we have a separate appropriation to deal with some of the contamination issues. On this one, it was kind of interesting having the gentleman come in to do the energy audit. This is an old building. We know that we have issues with the windows. So the intent behind this one and the next one is we will utilize the money from this and from the next one, see what the cost would be to do some window improvements in Town Hall to try to be more energy efficient. So we are contemplating doing a reallocation of these two projects into a pool of money, which would be about $122,000, or actually $123,000, and then we will put together a scope of a project to go and try to do some window improvements in Town Hall. That contract will come back. Obviously, will be a borrowing authorization to the council to do some renovation work to Town Hall. So what we're trying to do is to provide for some funding in which to accomplish that by, again, using old funding that was allocated for a certain purpose for a certain length of time that we will be rolling into a future borrowing.
Thank you. Did you have something, Councilor McDonald?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question would just be, the bulk of it was just answered. But what is this in terms or relation to what was discussed about renovating the offices up here? Is that part of that all, or is that strictly for the energy?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's more for the energy. The authorization to do the work up here, the council voted that a month ago.
Yes.
And we have
Yep.
done, most of that was carpet work. We're about 1/3 done with that. And then also to have this bathroom made more handicapped accessible.
Okay, thank you. And follow up to that, Madam Chair, my second question would be, so for all intents and purposes, all the work that's expected to be done at these other locations is complete, and we have this leftover money, and we're just going to move it to fund this portion?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
I just have one quick question, if I could, to you, Mr. Clark. In the work that you plan on doing on the windows, are any of our stained glass windows affected by this?
The stained glass project is not contemplated at this point.
Okay.
Actually, I need to get a hold of, some of the historic people, see if we could find what needs to be done, and that's really pretty specialty work.
Yeah.
We will look at that, especially it's interesting that we're moving upstairs. It looks like we're in a red light district when I come up. So it has an interesting appearance, but I think that's something that I need to find out from the historic folks, see if there's I know we have a similar stained glass behind us, see if we could duplicate the stained glass, but I think that's going to be an expensive proposition. But we will look at that.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else have any questions on this? Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Nicola?
Yes.
Councilor Peliquin?
Yes.
Councilor Regis?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Langevin?
Yes.
9 yes, unanimous.
Unanimous, thank you. Agenda item number 19, vote to transfer the sum of $12,515.17 from Project 6320 Fire Station Roof to Town Hall renovations. Again, I need a 2/3 vote on this, and it's the same as yes.
Previously.
Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Nicola?
Yes.
Councilor Peliquin?
Yes.
Councilor Regis?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Langevin?
Yes.
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Agenda item number 20, vote to transfer the sum of $17,724.72 from Project 6299 Alpine Drive Sewer Extension, $18,284.49 from Project 6300 Brentwood Drive Sewer Extension, and $12,527.68 from Project 6304 East Main Street Sewer to Project 6337 Wastewater Treatment Plant Sludge Conveyor. Again, a 2/3 vote is needed.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Just on these two, one is sewer and then the next one is water. Very same concept, projects that had leftover balances. On this one, we've already approved a wastewater treatment plant sludge conveyor work, so this money will be used to help offset that project.
Excellent. Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Nicola?
Yes.
Councilor Peliquin?
Yes.
Councilor Regis?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Langevin?
Yes.
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 21, vote to transfer the sum of $637.45 from Project 330, DPW Facility Water, $937.14 from Project 390, Water Treatment Plant Improvements, to Project 6334, Cleaning and Lining.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Same thing?
Same thing, except water.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda item number 22. Vote to transfer $5,000 from account number 1.132.5781, Town Council Reserve, to account number 1.499.5130, DPW Overtime, to cover costs associated with Hurricane Sandy.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Clements?
Thank you. Through you to the town manager.
Yeah.
Mr. Clark, I remember some of the discussions during the situation meetings. Is this reimbursable, this $5,000? I know that the debris cleanup and such we're keeping track of. Will this be any kind of reimbursable?
Yes, I believe this will be reimbursable. The vast majority of this is we authorize the DPW to work through daylight hours to be able to effectuate as much cleanup as they possibly could. Just in terms of the storm, I think the first day we had 2,700 customers out. The second day we went down to 900, and the third day we had down to 250. So I thought that, you know, I appreciate the efforts of our fire and police and DPW in responding to this, and I thought National Grid overall did a pretty good job getting those numbers down fairly quickly. Obviously, anybody without power for any period of time is a hassle, as I will attest to from last year, my experience.
Councilor Regis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just, I guess, follow up to Councilor Clements' question. The MEMA first round is due Wednesday, so we're on track to have all our departments report and get that in so that we would be eligible. Yes, sir. So we would be eligible for that funding, please. Thank you.
We'll make sure that's well underway.
Thank you.
No, day after tomorrow, Wednesday. Good one. Anybody else? Councilor Moriarty?
Councilor Clements had the first part of my question. The other one, knowing that we talked about being on target for in the spring doing some work from where the tornado had hit, with the drainage especially, I assume, and just wanted to see if you could speak to how that particular area did with the hurricane, with the saturation and everything else, if there were any problems that we know of on the Brookside part of town or Charlton Street.
Yeah, I'm trying to think from some of the outages. I don't think there was any really in that area
Chief says no.
that I could think of.
Nothing over there.
The closest, and it's not really not in that area, but I know Ellis Road area in the section of Gulfwood got hit somewhat, but even then, I think they fared fairly well.
Councilor Clements?
Just, again, conversations in update. I think there was a lot less flooding than expected, too. I mean, we really did not get that much rain here in this area. It was more wind and wind damage. So I think that was very helpful for them.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. 23, vote to ratify the airport solar term sheet with American Capital Energy and to authorize the town manager to enter into a power purchase agreement and land lease with ACE.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Do you want to?
If I'd have an opportunity to provide a overview, is that?
Go ahead.
This takes a little bit. Actually, one thing I would like to just request too is that this be amended to include also a pilot agreement, and I will explain myself. What this is that we, back in the spring, have put out an RFP for a solar farm to be installed at the municipal airport. We've had extensive negotiations with our proposed vendor, American Capital Energy. They have requested that we put together a term sheet. What the term sheet basically is the outline of what the power purchase agreement will be and what the municipal lease will be for that site, and also what's referenced in this and is actually included in more detail in the next item is a pilot agreement. Just to, and this is somewhat of a complicated thing, and I'm trying to break it into bite-sized pieces to kind of explain what we're doing and what potential advantages this project has. Take the first one first. The site is up at the municipal airport. We've already received a designation that the site that's been selected for this is not for immediate airport usage, so basically it's available for solar usage. Because the airport is a quasi-enterprise fund, it is required that the proceeds of that lease go to the airport itself. So one component of this would be that $25,000 would go to the airport on an annual basis to basically the airport operation is leasing property and getting revenue back in the amount of $25,000. So the land lease is fairly straightforward, and the Airport Commission has been involved in this and would have to kind of finalize the lease. The second is the power purchase agreement. The way a power purchase agreement works is that the town, the airport, now we have a site that's being requested that's going to generate about 2 megawatts of electricity. Where does the electricity go? One option is it could go back to the grid, and then once it's back to the grid, then the property, the owner of the establishment makes money, and then that's kind of it, and we just get the lease portion of it. And what we've decided to do in this circumstance, and from a few of the seminars that I've gone to, it does make some sense to do this, and I'll explain some of the hesitation in my voice. A power purchase agreement is the town has the ability to utilize the power that we buy from the general marketplace and to buy it instead from the solar farm. They call it virtual net metering because they don't do a wire from the site to each individual building. They put it back to the grid, and that 2 megawatts goes back to the grid, and National Grid takes 2 megawatts of our power and provides credits. The value to the town is right now, under some of our electric agreements, we pay about 13 cents a kilowatt hour. Here, under this agreement, it's about 9 cents. So for every kilowatt that we get from this load, from this credit, we would be basically saving the differential. So instead of paying 13 cents, we're only paying 9 cents. Now that 9 cents is in the agreement for about 20 years. So if the price of electricity were to come down, then we would be breaking even or potentially losing money. Will it go much below 9 cents? Probably not much below. Could it, over that 20-year cycle, go significantly higher? And then the savings, instead of being 4 cents, could go up, depending upon how much electric rates go up. So there is a possibility that we would save even more by having some rate stability in the agreement. In order to have a power purchase agreement, the airport itself doesn't generate that much electricity. So that takes the town's overall electricity load, which is about 8 megawatts a year, to actually be able to enter into this agreement with them. So in this, they are contemplating that we would enter into a power purchase agreement, and kind of right now we spend about 13 cents, and this would be about 9 cents. The last component is a pilot. And this is a little bit of the Wild West. People are coming in. There's not a whole lot of regulation, but a couple things are fairly certain. That if you are an electric power generator, that you have to pay taxes. And what we don't want to see as a town to basically have them put in a project and then each year come and negotiate with us or file an abatement. So the law allows us to enter into a pilot agreement. Pilot is payment in lieu of taxes. So we can enter into a pilot agreement and basically have some tax certainty for what the town is going to get from that site for its operation. So the pilot agreement is actually fairly straightforward. In this term sheet, it just says that a pilot agreement will be negotiated and worked out. What I would suggest to the council is that I have spent some time working out a pilot agreement on the next item, which you've had in your package and you've had obviously a chance to review. So I would use that as a model. It's actually Copeland and Page's model for how they do pilot agreements, to also reflect that into the agreement with ACE. One last thing, just in terms of it, hopefully that's a fairly good overview, but the last thing is, this is all still somewhat, I hate to use the word speculative, but I will, speculative, because the vendor still needs to work with the town to get approval from the FAA, Mass Aeronautical, and National Grid. If National Grid comes back and says it's going to cost $2 million to upgrade our electric infrastructure in order to provide for this, then they're not going to go forward because it's not economically viable project. So we still have a few places to go, but in order for them to get started, to start down this road of building this, they need to have an agreement with the town to commence the work. So there are elements in this that give us a way out if it becomes too cost prohibitive. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the manager. My first question would be, I think you partially answered it. So from the next step with the Airport Commission, is there any attempt to do an impact study on how this is going to affect flight operations as far as not necessarily on the ground, but in the air, because these photovoltaic arrays could be, hazardous in some sense as far as reflecting light as a aircraft is coming in the land? I just was wondering what provisions will be made to get pilot input to see if this is something that's desirable in that regard.
Yeah, very good question. And one thing that came up was, I think this is about a 6-acre site in total, and that we do have in here that there needs to be, at the expense of ACE, a solar glare study done, that even though the idea behind a solar panel is to absorb as much light as you can, about 5% of that panel won't, because it's a frame. Not everything can be strictly something that absorbs. And you think about it, if 5 or 10%, that doesn't sound that significant, but when you take 6 acres and you put it on a 6-acre site, now you have an opportunity to have some real glare. And this is going to be situated where it points south, and our runway is a north-south orientation. So that's one perfect example that if FAA, which they will, they've already told us, requires a solar glare study to make sure that planes can land safely. If that comes back that it's not doable, then that also would make this not go forward. So there are elements, really that's a critical safety element, I think, to the project. But that stuff is in here, in the elements of the agreement. So if everything goes according to plan, then the town has an opportunity to save money and to make some lease payments and to have taxes. But there are still quite a few hurdles that have to be gone over before we get to that point.
Anybody else?
I don't know if...
You have more?
Well, I was going to ask in terms of the pilot agreement, how do you determine what's the better value for the town, whether or not it's to pursue a regular taxation rate as opposed to the payment, so that there's fair value as far as payment coming back to the town?
Yeah, actually, number one, all the material is taxable, so we know it's a taxable element. Some of the companies wanted to just, well, let's file an abatement each year. And what the law, they went to try to change the law this year, and they were not successful, they being the solar industry, to have kind of a pilot, one pilot fits all. In that law, it says that if you enter into pilot agreements prior to a law being passed, that those pilot agreements would be honored. What I did was I had Will go out, Will Knoyer, the assessor, and had him go and look at other pilot agreements in other towns. And what he found was, I hate to say the going rate, but basically the going rate for some other towns that had negotiated. I think it was Brimfield just did one, or Brookfield just did one, and they got $8,000 per megawatt. In this agreement, it's actually $14,000 per megawatt. So I think we got on the high end of the average. When I shouldn't say this one for the solar for the airport. That's for the Blackmare Road one. But that's going to be the model we'll use for the airport. So 14,000, I think, is probably on the high end of what we're looking for. But to have that stability, know what we're going to have for tax stream for the next 20 years, I think is a valuable thing.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to have any questions on this?
I would just like to say I was really taken aback by how mind-blowingly complicated all of this was, and I'd like to thank the manager for spending all of this time and energy to negotiate a really good deal for the town on this. It was obviously a lot of work, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Regis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick comment regarding the pilot agreement. I think definitely that is the smart way to go. The solar industry is still lobbying to actually make all of that equipment exempt. So not even the filing of the abatement and being in court every year for the assessors, but actually filing to make it exempt. This would prohibit any of that. We would be locked into a pilot agreement. We know what just happened with Verizon, and where the decision was made and then subsequently changed. So I think definitely this is definitely the way to go. And I agree with Councilor Peliquin. This is a very in-depth and new issue, and I think that the manager did a wonderful job, and also explaining it, because I know I have a very minimal understanding, but I do have an understanding now, and I want to thank you for that.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you, councilors. Could we have a roll call vote?
Councilor Regis?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Langevin?
Yes.
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Nicola?
Yes.
Councilor Peliquin?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Okay. Vote to ratify the pilot and decommissioning agreement with EPG Solar for the Blackmare Farm Solar Project as negotiated as of October 22nd, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
Go over anything? You're all set with this?
Yeah, I mean, just one observation on this. This is a solar site that is on private property, and we did not opt to do the power purchase agreement. And the reason for the decommissioning element to it was when the planning board approved this, they requested the town, specifically, I guess, the town administration, to negotiate a pilot and a decommissioning agreement. The decommissioning agreement is just when the solar array is done, just the dismantling, how it's going to be dismantled. So there is a financial guarantee that's included in this language for how it will be dismantled.
Thank you. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Langevin?
Yes.
Councilor Marcucci?
Yes.
Councilor McDonald?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Nicola?
Yes.
Councilor Peliquin?
Yes.
Councilor Regis?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. 25, vote to enter into contract with P&P Construction in the base bid amount of $337,600 plus award change order number 1 consistent with the letter submitted October 17th, 2012 for an additional up to $32,000 for the reconstruction of the blue hangar and change in the length of time to complete the project from 90 days to 150 days. Said funds to be transferred from receipts reserved insurance in excess of $20,000 account to the tornado damage account.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Want to go ahead?
Just, I'm sorry that everything seems to be complicated tonight. We did go out to bid to commence the rebuild of the airport. We received in 4 bids, and the bid that we received from P&P was very low. And we asked them to come in and the folks from P&P, which is actually located in Charlton. They originally constructed the blue hangar. They came in and they were very confident that they did not have to replace the entire foundation, the entire floor of the hangar. And we brought them in and we said, well, what happens if you're wrong and if those housings, it is basically 14 footings in there, what happens if you're wrong? And they said, well, we can cut out and replace each footing. We said, well, if each footing for that building has to be replaced, how much would that be? And they came up with $32,000. All those footings may not have to be replaced, so that's why I have up to $32,000 on that. But they are still well below any of the other contractors and slightly below our engineer's cost estimate, close to our engineer's cost estimate, but slightly below that. So the idea of awarding the contract and doing change order number 1 is really in the best interest of the town, and we just wanted to make sure that we covered ourselves, that if some of those footings, additional ones, had to be changed out, we had a mechanism to do that. And once, I didn't want them to have the contract and then say, well, you have to change out all these footings, and then they would kind of have us in terms of that. So by working that out in advance, we now feel very comfortable that we can go ahead with the reconstruction of that hangar. Just for note, we did ask for the second hangar. Also, we don't have sufficient funds in the money that we've received so far from the insurance company, but we have provided this information to the insurance company to ask them for basically more money to be able to replace. In the final analysis, there's 3 hangars that we'll be looking to do to try to get more money to be able to fund the next hangar. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can I ask when they intend to start this project?
We'll do I'll sign the change order probably by the end of the week or the beginning of next.
Thank you.
Close.
Okay. Can I have a roll call, please?
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Have your little thing for me to read again? Thank you. Thanks. Agenda item number 26, vote to approve proposed amendments to bylaw Chapter 6, Section 6-100, quote, licenses and licensing regulations for the town of Southbridge, end quote, for secondhand junk, precious metals, and old metals regulations. Now I've got to read all of this before we go to the...
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to table this agenda item to our next regularly scheduled council meeting. Unless I'm mistaken, I haven't seen this bylaw be publicly posted. Section 1-107 of our bylaws, it's called Publication of General Bylaws, stipulates that it needs to be publicly posted for 10 days before final ratification, and I don't know that we've done that.
Did the last meeting that we had...
I remember I asked
Didn't you-
about it.
You asked about
Yeah,
that
but
then? It hasn't been posted?
I think after it's, and I haven't read that section, but when I read it before, after the council votes it 3 times.
No, it's before the third reading.
Before the third reading?
Yes, before the third and final reading.
Second.
Then we should...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine to double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion regarding tabling this at this point? Could I have a roll call, please?
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. So we'll table it until the next meeting because that'll give us a 10-day window.
Right.
Thank you. Okay. Give you back here. Thank you. Agenda item number 27 is Councilors Forum. I'm going to start with Councilor Moriarty.
I have just a few things, as usual. One is just a reminder, obviously, encouraging people to vote tomorrow, regardless of what their political persuasion may be, just to actually go out and vote. Another, the Bicentennial Committee will be holding kind of a kickoff meeting of sorts November 15th at 7 o'clock up here at Town Hall. I know I believe everybody here on the council should have received something in the mail in that regard. There's been a lot of people otherwise contacted. But really, it is open to anyone and everyone that has an interest. Hopefully, there are a lot of people that do have an interest in celebrating the town's 200th birthday in a few years. And again, that'll be the 15th of November up here at 7 o'clock at Town Hall. And then lastly, just because I've seen it in the last couple packets in terms of economic development, but I've not seen it really advertised much elsewhere. The master planning project has some public forums coming up, just 3 of them that are up before Thanksgiving. Happen to be consecutive days. November 14th from 5:30 to 8 o'clock at the Eagles Club, and I guess the note said something about dinner included. The 15th at 6 o'clock at Jacob Edwards Library, which happens to be the same day, about an hour earlier than Bicentennial, so I suggest skip that one, come to the next one. And November 16th at 10:30 in the morning at the Community Center. And then there are more after Thanksgiving, but just wanted to note those things. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just an observation about the Sandy weather event from, I think, the state, I think even at the federal level, but through the state and the town level, everybody was well prepared, and I thought that went very well, and I just thought I'd extend my appreciation on that to everybody. The other thing is Veterans Day is coming up this Saturday. The Veterans Council, in conjunction with the local Boy Scout troops, will be doing a flag ceremony down the Common. It's scheduled to start at 2 o'clock, 2:30 time frame on the Common. And there's some other events coming up Monday, which I'll defer to Councilor Langevin on. I think you know more about it than I do, so. But the hospital does honor us with a lunch, and I'll let him talk about that. And other than that, that's all I have. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Vandal?
Said this evening, thank you.
Thanks, Councilor. Councilor Peliquin?
Couple of things. First of all, I just wanted to thank all of the children who came trick-or-treating at my house this past week. My husband was trying to count. I don't know. He was being kind of conservative, but there was about 525 kids that showed up, and you all looked fantastic in your costumes, and you were very cute and scary and inventive and interesting, and it was great to see you, and I can't wait to see you again next year. So thanks for coming out. I have some concerns about what the citizens had mentioned at Citizens Forum regarding the Liquor Licensing Board, and I apologize if this is a bit time-consuming. I've been trying to follow the Liquor Licensing Board meetings since becoming elected to council, because it's an area that I know that I am not very familiar with prior to becoming elected here in town. Before this year, I didn't even realize that liquor licenses were bought and sold as if like an asset, as opposed to, just something you would go in and fill out an application for. I had no idea. And given that, I'm really, it seems like that the liquor board thing it's very controversial. It's involving lots of different elements of town departments and stuff that are really complicated, different. It's just, it seems like there's a big mess there. And I'm not totally convinced of the town's legal justification for the case law that's been cited for canceling the liquor licenses for businesses that are under construction, because the case law cited, I don't have it in front of me because I didn't know that this was going to be coming up tonight, but the case law I did read at one point, it was based on a restaurant business that had previously been open for years and then subsequently closed, and I guess the municipality in question felt that they had sat on the license too long before attempting to sell it, and then so they did not approve the transfer of the license, and then it was subsequently canceled, and that was upheld. But I don't really see how that applies to a business that is in construction, that paid a substantial amount of money to acquire a liquor license and is now trying to go through all of the different permitting processes with the town and the zoning board and the conservation commission, and it seems very complicated. I saw a letter from our building inspector denying Mr. Casperson's building permit, and it was so complicated it looks like he had to have had a lawyer help him write it. So this is a long-term project, and it seems like he's working on it, but I don't understand why the Liquor Licensing Board is breathing down his neck to get rid of this license for a project that it seems like he's really trying to work hard to get open. And another thing, I know that I'm new, and I don't know a whole lot about this, but in terms of the quotas transferable licenses, there's been some talk about we're over quota on our liquor licenses in terms of I guess there's transferable licenses, but you can also apply to get a non-transferable license. I believe Fins and Tails is one of those. So if there's a specific business that's interested in a liquor license, if we get a letter from the business, we can petition for special legislation for a non-transferable license, which is separate and apart from the transferable licenses that are subject to the quota. And it concerns me to hear that the town manager's office is turning away businesses who come seeking licenses because there's an application process to get a non-transferable license that is separate from the fact that we are currently over quota on our transferable licenses, even though some of them are not active. And the other thing, it seems like there's a whole lot of time and energy and effort spent on the liquor board and across departments. I don't just mean with the town manager's time, but I don't understand when the council directed the administration to spend so much time and energy in terms of using the position as common victualler licensing agent to try to steer the liquor licensing board into a specific direction in terms of canceling the inactive liquor licenses. I mean, I know, Mr. Manager, your annual salary is pretty substantial. I don't know what it breaks down to hourly, but I imagine the substantial amount of time that you've spent focusing on the liquor licensing board represents a substantial financial investment to the town, and your time is really valuable. I mean, we can see from the solar leases, you did a really great job negotiating the term sheet for the ACE project at the airport, and $14K per megawatt at the Blackmere Road solar project. It's a really good deal for the town, and I feel personally that the tax dollars we're spending paying your salary would have a better return on investment if you perhaps focused on other projects that had more of a potential financial benefit to the town than trying to take away liquor licenses from businesses that are under construction. And I know that all 4 of these businesses are different, and maybe some of them, I mean, I don't really know how the liquor board should rule on this, because I don't know. I'm just trying to learn about this, but watching what these business owners have been going through, I really don't understand why the town is spending so much money in terms of the manager's salary, in terms of the legal fees for the special attorney representing the town at the liquor licensing board meetings. There was legal opinions. There was a memo that was 13 pages and had big color photographs. And I know I've been trying to follow town politics for about a year before I got elected, and I don't remember the council ever directing the administration to spend so much time and energy on this, and I don't see how it's even a really big priority for the town.
Can I just a small part? You just kind of answered your own question there, in that if you were following this a year prior to getting on council, keep in mind that these businesses have had those licenses, I think the newest of them, 3 years. So for years prior to just getting actively involved, these businesses have been flying under the radar, holding on to these licenses and allegedly trying to get their businesses up and running, and haven't done that. And the manager is finally starting to catch up with that. It's not something he's been working on for 3, 4, 10 years. These businesses have had these licenses for this number of years and have not come to fruition with their businesses. And when I hear arguments personally that say that, you're quashing economic development, it's just the opposite. These businesses are quashing economic development by holding on to a license and not opening their businesses. And other businesses that have come forward that would like to have those licenses can't, because they're held by somebody else who has not opened a business. So when you say that the manager has been spending an awful lot of his resources and his time on this project, or on this particular issue, it's just the opposite. The manager is now spending more time, but has not, because the Liquor License Board was supposed to be doing this, and for the past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, these businesses have been holding on to licenses and no business. At some point, that has to stop. Now, I'm just kind of, you're wondering out loud, and I'm answering a little bit out loud, because having been on the council a little bit longer and seen this, and seen the inactivity of the Liquor License Board when it came to this, I think it was time that somebody stepped in, because there have been lots of calls to me. I can't speak for other councilors sitting up here, but I've gotten phone calls aplenty about when is this business going to open, and when is that business going to open, and how long do you let somebody hold? What are you doing about so-and-so having a liquor license and no business? That's not the town council's purview, it's the Liquor License Board, and the manager can get involved in that, and has recently gotten involved in that. It's not something he's been working on since he, unpacked his bags downstairs. So yeah, I think he's being prudent in looking into this at this point. And maybe what you're seeing as, resources being spent, you need to understand those resources have not been spent for an awful long time by the town on something that probably should have been looked at sooner than later. But other projects, other issues came in first. And I'm not defending the manager, I'm just trying to give you a little bit of the history behind some of what you are now seeing. What seems unfair goes both ways. Is that helpful?
Well, thank you for sharing your viewpoint with me. There are aspects of it that I concede I would agree with, and there are other aspects that I would say I don't agree with. The fact that it's possible to get the state to grant additional licenses if we ask them makes me curious as to why people are really trying to cancel licenses for people who are going through a permitting and construction process, and in one instance has invested $100,000 on a property that they intend to open a restaurant with a liquor license, when you can also get a non-transferable license granted from the state.
But the manager did quote law. And
it was one legal case for a business that I feel was not necessarily the same situation that a business that purchased a license and is a new business and is under construction is different than a business that had previously been open for years and then closed and it was still holding on to their liquor license. I think that's a
business
separate.
That's been a quote-unquote new business that's been in the process of becoming a business for 3 years, to me, is no longer a new business.
I think given the state of our economic situation in the last 3 years and how difficult it's been to get capital and to get projects going, and as our whole financial system went into chaos, I feel like I have a little bit more of an allegiance to people who are struggling to open locally owned businesses within the community than I guess you do. So, and that's totally fine. We don't have to agree on everything, but does the majority of the council feel that this is a good direction for the administration to take in, or is it just that you do?
I don't know. I'm just speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for the council. I was just trying to give you a little bit more of history, because when I'm hearing it from you, it sounds like it's all a new thing, and it's not. It's hardly a new thing.
Right.
It's something that's been kind of an itch for a long time, and nothing's been done. And it really is not the purview of this elected board. It's the purview of another elected board to do their job. And when that's not happening, I think somebody had to step in, and that would be the town manager.
Well,
I'm just standing on the sidelines watching it.
We did appoint one of the members. They're not elected. They're appointed by the manager and then ratified. So I did,
appointed and, yes,
right.
and elected.
I ratified the appointment of somebody, and then watching the way the liquor board has been going, I'm kind of perplexed as to, it seems like this person was chosen with a specific task in mind, and that is to take away licenses from businesses. It just, it seems strange to me. And I admit I'm new. I haven't been following this for all the many years that you have, but just the viewpoint that I see trying to, walking in and seeing all of this for the first time, I don't really see how the time and expenses justify. Like, perhaps this wasn't something that the administration focused on for years, because it really does seem like it's kind of a low priority thing for somebody who makes a six-figure salary to be spending time on. I just, there's so many other more financially remunerative things for the town I feel like we could be focusing on with that resource than that.
That's why this is Councilors Forum.
Thank you.
It's an opportunity to have opinions. Thank you. Do you have anything else?
No, that's all for me.
Moving on to Councilor Marcucci.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just something really quick. Reading our reports that we receive in the Health Department from Jim Moran, I guess this is to the person or individuals that feel the need to illegally dump debris, TVs at a senior center, demolition debris on Crane Street, the DPW during landfill operations. They were up mowing, I guess, the upper part of Pleasant Street and uncovered quite a bit of litter where Casella had to send laborers up there to pick up the trash and also TVs. And I travel Pleasant Street every day to go to work. The upper part of Pleasant Street, where the entrance is to McKinstry Brook, someone felt the need to dump, it looks at least 50 or 60 tires in that area. And it just bothers me that you're, less than 200 yards from the landfill. You've got curbside trash pickup. I just don't know how much easier we can make it for these people, and I really don't understand the mentality that exists. It's frustrating, and it's, you're littering our community, and for all the people that do what they're supposed to do, and then to drive through town and see, all these tires and TVs dumped out of vehicles, it's disheartening, and I just wish one time we could catch these individuals, Mr. Clark, and really impose, I don't even know if there's a fine for littering, but something significant to deter them.
Just on the comment on the McKinstry Brook, that's actually, I noticed that myself, and I went to the health office and I said, what's going on? It's actually a state-owned property, and the state is working on it. But prior to that, and about 2 years ago, the state did have their environmental police came out. They put up a hidden camera. They actually captured someone on tape bringing, I think it was TVs and tires at that time, 2 years ago. They got the license plate number, and they send a fine, but unless we have enforcement there all the time, unfortunately, those remote areas tend to be magnets.
It's frustrating.
It is.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilor Regis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just in the spirit of crossing all our Ts and dotting all our Is, on agenda item number 23, I don't think we amended our vote to include a pilot agreement. Should we have done that?
I mean, I suggested it, but it would be nice to have that more formal.
Yeah. I just don't want there to be any issues later on down the road. I don't know, is it appropriate to put that in a form of a motion or add another agenda item for a separate?
I think if you did an amendment, because it has power purchase agreement and land lease and just include pilot, yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Madam Chair, is that?
I'll entertain that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. So the motion is to amend agenda item number 23 to state, vote to ratify the pilot and airport solar term sheet with American Capital Energy, and then the rest as it is.
Well, just on that, I'm sorry, I hadn't. So to authorize the town manager to enter into a power purchase agreement, pilot agreement, and land lease agreement.
So, vote to ratify the airport solar term sheet with American Capital Energy and to authorize the town manager to enter into a power purchase agreement, the pilot, and land lease. Pilot agreement, or just pilot?
Pilot, just pilot.
Pilot and land lease with ACE. Okay. Can I have a roll call on that, please?
Counselor Marcucci?
Yes.
Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Moriarty?
Yes.
Counselor Nicola?
Yes.
Counselor Peliquin?
Yes.
Counselor Regis?
Yes.
Counselor Vandal?
Yes.
Counselor Clements?
Yes.
Counselor Langevin?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. Anything else, Counselor?
No, thank you.
Okay. We did vote it.
It's too many.
Okay. Counselor Langevin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple brief things, as Councilor McDonald stated. You know, Veterans Day is coming up. I would like to wish all veterans that served our country and say thank you. And there's obviously people right now serving our country, and I'd like to say thank you to them. But with that being said, the hospital, this is probably going to be our third year now, also with the Southbridge Hotel Conference Center is co-sponsor, that we are doing a veterans luncheon on Monday at 11:30 at the Southbridge Hotel Conference Center. And the way it usually works is we go through our veterans agents. He gets us a list of active members that are participating and submits it, and then we send on an RSVP. I believe our number is right around, we usually gather around 75, 80 people. But it's a nice event that the hospital really wanted to get involved in. I know they've been doing it in Webster for many, many years. Just if anyone's wondering, that's how the process has been going. It's going through right through Mike Trombley, the veterans agent, and then they send out invitations and stuff like that. So it's a nice event, and the veterans so deservedly need to get recognized. And the last thing, again, just quickly piggyback, I do want to thank the police, fire, and the DPW for the storm coverage. They always do a very good job of making sure everyone's safe and getting everything open for emergency situations. So I do want to thank all of them, and the police and fire department, their jobs might be a little done now, but the DPW, it just keeps on continuing for them. So they've been going through a lot in the last year or so. So I just want to say thank you to all of them, and that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Clements?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, in regard to the master plan dates that Councilor Moriarty read, would it be possible, Mr. Clark, to get them on the cable access calendar? Because if we are encouraging the local people, I'm not sure that they're running on there, so if we could potentially get them on, I'd appreciate it. And a question to Councilor McDonald. You mentioned the flag retiring ceremony and such with the Boy Scouts. Usually that's been in the evening. Are they doing the burning of the retiring part at 2, or are you aware? Because I was curious what the start time was on the retiring part.
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, it's being done earlier because in previous years at night it got rather cold. And, so we are going to do the full-blown ceremony with the burning of the flags.
Starting at 2.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's good to know because I had it down for evening. Thank you. So I didn't really have anything on this subject, but since there's a lot of discussion on it, I just have a couple of comments on Councilor Peliquin. This may help you. Back in the days when I was learning a lot of stuff about issues in this town, the ABCC website is a great resource. It has a lot of information, including the laws, the rules, the regulations that each municipality is supposed to follow in regard to their regulating of liquor license issuings. And I would suggest that's a good place to start to get more information.
Thank you.
And it's my understanding through that website and through discussion with ABCC people through the MMA meetings and such, that liquor licenses in Massachusetts, or at least is my understanding, it's not advertised that they're supposed to be, the transferable ones are not necessarily supposed to be sold. It's my understanding that while people make these arrangements, it's not something that they promote or that they even agree with. And yes, it's been done probably for years, but it doesn't make it any the right. So purchasing a liquor license puts you at risk for many things, but that's the purview between the people who make a deal. But it's not necessarily a, quote, legal deal, I guess, is my understanding of that. And yes, I agree, too, in terms of going out for more licenses. People come in, they want more licenses. It's been my understanding and the explanation to me that, yes, we can as a town, this idea of finite licenses, while it's there, Boston, my understanding, is not against viable businesses. But if you're going to ask for a license, they're going to expect to see your business plan and your backup for it. Not potential backup, not backup 3 or 5 or 10 years from now, but if you want us to give you, if you want to submit special legislation and have us seriously consider your license asking, then certainly you need to give them the information. And having said that, so while we don't want to we don't want to offend off anybody, and certainly we want viable businesses, it's my understanding on the other side of that, that when people come and ask, and they know we only have a limited number, and that's the message that's out there. There have been business people that have talked to me from other communities who said, and I've said, oh, we need more restaurants in Southbridge, or we need more businesses in Southbridge, or some sort of eating establishments, and the comments are made. It's the problem in a nutshell is your liquor licenses. And I said, but that's silly. We can get more for you. And they said people don't want to wait. And these are people who are in business now who are looking to expand and saying, they don't want to wait. So it's a twofold on that. But that's my understanding of things. And as far as the law goes, I mean, we should be mindful of the rules and regulations as set forth by the government agencies. And I think that's perhaps what we're trying to do. But I don't want to get into that at all. All I'd suggest is the ABCC website was really helpful to me, and suggest it as a research tool for you if you so choose. And that's on that one. Let's see. I had a couple of things. Monday, 11:30. Let's see. And actually, I just want to praise the hospital again. I love sitting up here and being able to praise our hospital, a hospital that was built by the people, with the people's money, whether it was $1, $10, or $1 million. People in this community helped build that hospital, and I praise its prior leadership and its current leadership, Mr. Moore, and his staff, and all the employees there for continuing the charge and staying here in our community, and hopefully they'll be here for a long time to come. But we are very, very fortunate not only to have a huge employer, but to have those kinds of services for the people within this area and the surrounding areas. So praise the hospital again. And that's real economic development there. Keep it going. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a good point. Okay. Discussion of next meeting date.
Monday, November 19th, 2012, 7 o'clock here in council chambers.
Okay. Adjournment. Second. All in favor? This meeting's adjourned.